And welcome, everyone. I'm Laurel E. Lyon. I am the creator of Conscious and Inspiring, and I'm here today with, honestly, another conscious and inspiring and a brilliant girlfriend, Renee Reisch. And, thank you, Renee, so much for bringing the conversation that we're going to have to touch the lives of everyone that's watching. Thank you for being with me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to be with you.
Yeah, so for those of you who are watching, I am here with Renee Reisch, who's joining me from Orange County, California. And honestly, it's a place that I love to go. I love to drive down to California. It's so beautiful down there. And Renee has, she's been an inspiring and she's just an inspiration all around. But for 25 years, she worked for a Fortune 500 company. She's been inspiring and cultivating individuals and teams she's got so much skill that brings. And I'm going into a loop here, and I apologize, but I'll get back on track. So she's worked for a Fortune 500 company for over 25 years. She embarked on a new path and began her professional training and speaking with a nonprofit organization, Women Helping Women, where she would help women find employment and get established in employment. Renee has been recognized with numerous awards for leading her teams to #1 positions. And, she's been successful and proactive just as a beautiful human being. But we know that life isn't always easy. Renee has overcome significant challenges, and she's actually paid a price for her success, through her health, and including a devastating illness that took away her voice, along with experiencing the loss of her father and her best friend. It really put Renee on a track in a new direction, I believe, that she's going to speak about. Well, I always often say through great adversity come great gifts. And the gifts that opened up for Renee were these experiences that have taught her the value of speaking her truth and building resilience. Today, she uses her journey as a source of inspiration to help others find clarity, courage, and confidence in their business and in their personal life. Renee is an author. She's got multiple books out, and the one most recent is Finding Your Voice. And Finding Your Voice also has a Facebook community, a network, and she's created a digital magazine that she's going to share with us. Finding Your Voice is a motivational speaking and transformational coaching company that's dedicated to empowering you to reach your full potential and achieve your goals. It helps you to release limiting beliefs and turn obstacles into opportunities. Renee is committed to creating innovative solutions that improve the lives of others. And she also touches other people's lives. We've had a really beautiful connection. It's just proof how we are all connected, and the universe and the macrocosm of it all there really is the microcosm. And, we didn't plan how we even dress today, but we show up wearing the same colors, and we have so many similarities. And, it just always reminds me when I speak with you how our lives are on the paths they're on for reasons. And when we face adversity and have challenges, there's always something to be gained from it. So welcome so much.
Thank you again, Laurel, for having me and allowing us to share our voices together.
Yeah. So, I'd like to start with, how did that look in your life when you came to losing your voice? If you share what you feel comfortable sharing about that, and how it impacted your life, what was happening.
Yeah, so thank you again. It very much impacted my life. I was no longer able to be with the public. I was laying on a gurney in the ER in 2013 after coming from an urgent care. And the doctor there saying, she told my best friend that you need to get her to the ER now. It was like, do not wait, do not pass, go get her there right now. That, was pretty scary to hear another doctor tell my best friend, like, get her there, like, don't waste a second. And we got there, and a question that was asked to me on a podcast a long time ago, and I don't actually remember what the podcast was, but I do remember the question. It was like, do you remember the last words you spoke before losing your voice? And I thought nobody had ever asked me that question before. And I said, I didn't remember, because really, who thinks that you're not going to be able to speak again? Who knows that moment might have been the last moment of communication as you once knew it. And I didn't know, and nor did doctors have any answer for me. They had no cure. So for 4 months, I lay in my apartment with no voice and pain that you would not wish on a worst enemy if you ever had one. It was what I would imagine would be the equivalent of the sharpest steak knife or the sharpest razor blades down your throat 24/7. And it was never any better morning, noon, or night. And it got to the point where I no longer wanted to live, because the pain of surviving was so intense. And to know that there was no cure, that a doctor couldn't help me, there was no quick fix, so to speak, of take this and call me in the morning, or take this for a few days, or gargle with this. I couldn't have anything. They did give me out of the ER this viscose, thick, like a globulous kind of a gel that I was supposed to gargle my throat, that I wasn't able to do. It was too much to do that. And that they sprayed something in my throat in the interim to numb it. But that, of course, went away. It was a short-term thing. What I realized, Laurel, is when you were brought to something and through something so painful, and whether the audience believes in God, source, universe, there is a greater power, greater than us. And, for me, it's knowing that I'm here for a greater purpose. And that purpose is not self, but serving. And serving with a greater, stronger voice to the people who are meant to hear this message, to know that what you're going through, you're also growing through. And at the time, you can't tell me that. You couldn't do nothing anybody could have said would have made sense. Nothing. To have that kind of pain in my life, in my body, could have made sense. Because I couldn't imagine what I would have done to cause that, to bring that kind of pain to myself. So I do know there's a greater purpose. And now it is what I've done with my life, is turn that struggle into a strength to serve the greater purpose I'm here to serve.
Well, I love what you said, and I believe that to be so. It's been my body of work for many years, and my healing journey too. Make your mess your message.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Because so I always look at the psychosomatic aspect of it, in that what do you think caused you to lose your voice? What was going on, Renee?
Quite honestly, I was taking care of everybody but that gal looking back at me in the mirror. I was running multi-million-dollar teams in corporate America, making sure that everybody was happy and satisfied, from the people that I was, that were on my teams, to the management above me, where they were, to their bosses, and making sure that everybody was good to go, except the girl that was doing it was the girl digging her own grave. And I really didn't understand it, because I was so in it that I couldn't see outside of it. And I was also not spiritual at the time. So I was just go, 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 go. My best friend, who's one of my beautiful angels watching over me right now, she used to yell at me, like flat out yell at me, and say, slow down, in not so pretty words. And I didn't listen. I didn't listen. I'm like, oh, but I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to, like trying to catch up or stay afloat or, and I even wrote in my book that I was looking forward to days off, not to breathe and say, oh, I have a day off tomorrow. It wasn't, I didn't see that. I thought, okay, I'm off this day. I could do all this. And while I'm off, I could do this and this. And it was all for work. Like, let me work on more schedules. Let me do this. It was all things that were pertaining to work, not for self-care or self-love, but it was for the work that I
Yeah.
was going to do so I could spend more time with my people while I was at the job and do the work any time off, whether it was an early shift or a later shift. I would work before, work after, days off. It was, what more can I do? What more can I do?
Right. Yeah. For those of you who are listening to and identifying with what Renee and I are talking about is so important, the self-care. So many people do, we come into the world and we experience the conditioning and whatever the environment and so on. And then either we don't identify or we're never shown a way to understand that we have a body and we're supposed to be in that body, right? And everything that you talked, I was thinking about how it reminded me of when I had a busy real estate career. I remember jumping out of bed in the middle of the morning, panicking before everybody else was up, thinking, where am I? What did I do everything? Did I get everything done yesterday? Just like even.
100%, Laurel. It's we get so in the moment or moments that we build momentum for what we're doing and who we're being in those moments rather than becoming who we're meant to be. And when you're in that movie that you've created, then in that story that you're living out in reality, then you're not so easy to be able to jump out of that character and be the observer, as you can't watch yourself when you're in it. It's only when you're able to step out of that experience to say, oh my God, you're like, what are you doing? And as I said, I wasn't spiritual then. So I would say I'm taking care of everybody. That's what I'm being paid for. That's what I need to do. People are, they're waiting on me to do what I need to do to get the job done. And they're relying on me, and it's responsibility and it's like, wow. And what are you doing for you? Nothing. I base my happiness on results from other people. So in other words, if you were happy, that's people pleasing, right? Then I was happy because I made you happy. You were happy with my results. You were happy with my performance. You were happy with something that I did or a result I achieved. That doesn't really work, because if somebody's in a bad mood and you're living your life out for them and their happiness, not that you don't want to make people happy 100%, that's something, I don't say 100%, but you want it, but not please people in, for how do I want to put this? In place of taking care of yourself. It's not a this or that. And it's you've got to take care of you so you can pour from the overflow and take care of others. If you can't show up for yourself and take care of you, then how can you really step up for others if you're not even doing it for yourself? And it's a hard lesson. It's a really hard lesson, because it was a painful one in my situation, because I didn't do that at all. I didn't even listen to my best friend, who was watching it as the observer. She was watching me go down in flames.
Yeah.
Until my body was screaming so loud that, I didn't even listen to her, and I didn't listen to anybody. If anything, I would have listened to her, and God is probably like, are you kidding? You're not listening. I put her in your life for a reason. You couldn't even listen to her. And now you're going to have to put on the brakes, because this is going to be a little painful. It was so painful. It was so painful. I can't even fathom. As a matter of fact, when I did get better, it took about a year to fully regain the use of my voice, along with vocal coaching. I had to go to a vocal coach to learn how to speak again, because it's like a muscle, it atrophied. If you don't use your muscles, you can't just go back in the gym and start benching 50 pounds or 100 pounds. You got to be able to work yourself back up. Well, when I finally learned to be able to speak again, my voice would go in and out. It was like this rubber band. It would go and then it would stop. And especially if I got upset, it would go away completely. Um, the first time I remember getting a sore throat after I got better, I freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, it's back. Like I couldn't imagine living through it again. I didn't think I would. And thankfully that, we're free from that, because that's an earlier version of me,
Mhm.
which I am no longer that person. We evolve as we grow. And
Exactly.
it definitely was a hard lesson.
Yeah. Well, so many women take on the roles that they're conditioned to, you know, be a good daughter, be a good mother, be a good worker, good student,
Be a
be
good
good,
wife.
be good. And you were being good at everything for everybody, but you didn't even identify what that meant, that you even had a body, right? So it was yeah, the source, like you said, that the powers that be pointed out to you. And our body will take so much for so long, but then it's a deep dive often. So
It was a heck of a deep dive.
yeah, coming out of that, what do you think was what do you remember, like a thing that you did or thought or something that happened that you propelled forward in your health, that what how did you get well again?
Laurel, great question. It was losing my voice that began the journey of finding my voice.
Ah, love that. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Renee, for articulating it that way. That's so beautiful. And for those of you who are watching, if you're just joining us, I'm with Renee Reisch from California. She's a friend, a working, a networking friend, and someone I've known for a while. She's an author, and she's creator of Finding Your Voice, which is a book, a community, a magazine, and a network. And let's talk about finding your voice and the work inside of that. How it's, because you're all about impacting the lives of others. So you help people to see, to recognize their own brilliance. And
Yeah.
the community that you've created, it's more than one community. There's a lot going on in all of this, that just talk about what finding your voice is looking like these days.
Yeah. Well, there's another component to that as well. I am the creator of the voice blueprint. So what I do when I work with clients is everything is the voice, right? It's an acronym that I created. It's from vulnerability to empowerment. Each letter stands for a word. So V, vulnerability, E, empowerment, and then there's the letters in between. And I take my clients and I really hold their hand through that journey of finding your voice, and what that means to each person is going to be different. And the community that I created, it's a Facebook community. It's also a VIP group that I have, that I run a VIP network for finding your voice, that I have amazing people from all across the world who are thought leaders and making a big difference. We have a magazine that comes out quarterly. It's just incredible. There's a lot of opportunities there. If anybody's interested in being part of that, please reach out to me for it. It's just an incredible network. I know that I am a leader here to help others along their own journey, and I'm a connector, and that's what it's about. It's building this kind of a platform, connecting people from different walks of life who are here to make a difference in the world in a positive way, to shed their light and shine their light brightly upon this world who so desperately needs us, and this Mother Earth who is taking on so much, and we need to give back. And I think when you not I think I know when you collaborate with like-hearted souls, then you can really make a bigger impact upon the world. And that's it. It's about finding your voice. As I said, it's going to be different for everybody. The book that I wrote and edited, I edited the book as well. Imagine editing your own yourself. That was an interesting thing I did, but I was able to do it. And it's, as I said, it's finding your voice, unlock your chains, and unleash your greatness. It became a 4 times #1 best-selling book in 2020, and I'm happy to say it's continuing to serve people around the world. It's really a workbook within a book, because after each chapter, and they have really short chapters, I want to make an easy read, is questions. I pose questions to the reader, and I leave like 3 to 4 line pages for you to write your answers. So you can actually date the pages on 8, 10, 23, 11, 23. How do you answer the question, or whenever you answer the questions, then you go back and you can see the reason I have it this way is because this book is now evergreen. It grows with you as you evolve in this journey called life. And that's the beauty about this. You can always see your growth, and having the growth mindset and seeing what's available to you. You can actually document it and see how far you've come, especially women. We don't give ourselves enough credit. I know I did. I never did, for just how far we've come, especially with social media. You keep scrolling and see what everybody else has done. And then you look at your own life like, oh, well, I can never do that. I can never do that. Look where I am. It's not about comparison. That's the killer of everything. It's you are where you're at. And that's perfectly perfect for you and your journey.
Yeah.
Not to compare and say, well, look where that person is, look where I am. You're not looking at that lens. Don't look at it through the filtered lens of somebody else. Look at it through your own lens of where you are without comparing.
Oh, I love what you're saying. I'm just totally into listening to what you're talking about, because it's so true. Social media is such a powerful, beneficial tool, but there's so much comparitis happening out there that it blocks people in their path, in their business, in their personal growth, and the aspect of the journaling. I have books all over. I'm a crazy journaler too. And I still don't think that I journal enough. So, but
You journal when you're supposed to journal. You're writing when you feel compelled to. And I would invite people to start journaling if they haven't. It's an interesting exercise where I'm talking about actual pen to paper, actually writing. We have the computers, we start typing in, but actually, me too.
yeah.
Me too. I've got my journal, and I actually write in it, and I make sure I, even when I'm tired, write something in it. Gratitude is really what I focus on. Gratitude, appreciation. No matter where you are in your life, there's got to be something that you're grateful for. Do you have a place to put your head on? Did somebody give you a blanket to cover yourself with? Is there something? Do you have a meal, a hot meal in front of you? Do you have some sort of meal that somebody was able to give to you, or that you were able to give to yourself, that you're able to shop and pay your bills, or something in your life, something in your day that you could say, I am grateful for. Because the more you focus on what you're grateful for, the more that will expand, the more you will see. Once you start writing about that gratitude, well, then there's that too. And then, well, I connected with this person, they're going to help me with that. And then this and that, all these things start opening. When you start focusing on what you don't have, you will see more of the lack of what you don't have. And then you get into a negative space. And then you start feeling your vibrations even going down, that you're like, all these negative thoughts start coming into your head. We have like over 80,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are negative. So if you start thinking about the positive ones and start looking that way, that will also expand.
I love that. I love that. And those 80,000 thoughts, they say 95% of them are the thoughts from the day before.
Right. It's the luggage. You're dragging luggage from old baggage.
Yeah.
We're in a new day. And the only time I like to look back, like you do in the rear view mirror in your car, I'm going to give an analogy real quick if I may. And that is to make sure that you don't get hit from behind, or you don't hit your brakes. You want to see what's behind you to know where you're going straight in front of you. You want to make sure of the rear view mirror, but you're not focusing on that. I don't keep my eyes in the back. I make sure I check in, because you don't want to repeat what you did that didn't serve you. You want to make sure it's clear if you're going to change lanes, but I would advise stay in your own lane. Don't be swerving all over the place like you weren't on a road. And focus in front of you. You're keeping your eyes on the road, not next to you, not behind you. You're checking in for the rear view, but you're keeping focused on the front view.
Such good advice. And you mentioned before too, you have the download. And so for those of you who are watching, Renee is going to drop the link for the download. And if you just talk about it, so you can click the link below and receive the free exercise that Renee has created.
Yes, I have a 10 steps to finding your voice ebook that I make sure is there. I'm going to actually put my link tree in there also. It's got that. I've got the Facebook community. If anybody here is interested in joining that, please let me know, as well as the beautiful VIPs that I have. If it's the right fit through the end of August, I have openings for that. If it's the fit for you, and we will talk about if it's something that you're interested in being part of. But it is something that I'm very proud of, to have created that with my business partner, and to have that digital platform for people in the magazine, and have the meetings. I also have a mastermind in there that I've created for the VIPs, because I know that's how we also grow, is having a community. I always say in community we find unity, and that's very important to do that, to connect and collaborate with the right people. As I said, the book is there as well, and the voice blueprint. I love really serving people with that, because it's something that you can carry with you the rest of your life. It's not just for in the moment kind of thing. It's something that you will always have with you to pull from your toolbox.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. So everyone, make sure that you click Renee's link below and get on that track to getting your blueprint from Renee, and check out her Facebook community and reach out to Renee. She's always available through her social media. So make sure you do that. And thank you
One
so much.
other thing, I
Yes.
want to say one other thing. I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. So I have training in that as well. And that's part of what I incorporate with the voice blueprint, because there's, part of the journey that helps a lot with my clients. So that's something that I got certified in to serve even greater. So yes.
Thank you. Such great work. I see that you have such a big heart, and I really appreciate you. And in closing, Renee, what is there something that you'd like to leave people with? A thought or something?
Thank you, Laurel. It's to believe in yourself. So often, we believe in other people. We seek out advice. We seek a lot of information, but I always equate it to the Wizard of Oz, that story. I didn't understand why as a little girl, I loved it so much. And it's because that was me. I was always looking for the outside validation for inner self-worth. And if you think about that story, and if a millennial happens to be watching this, then you can Google it. It was a character by the name of Dorothy who got thrust into this land, and she was trying to find her way back home. And along that journey, she met, several characters, all looking for something that each one actually had. And she too had what she was looking for. And it was the way back home to herself. And what I do in the coaching that I do is walking back, people back home to themselves. And that's the biggest gift that I know I was given, because I was able to come back home to me.
Oh, I'm deeply moved by your words. Thank you so much for putting it in such a beautiful context. So thank you, Renee. And thank you to everyone who's watching live or on the replay. And reach out to Renee, click the link, and share her story with your community, with your friends. Thank you so much for joining us today.